Good morning, everyone. Today is March the 30th, 2021. I am your host, James Mason. With me is Todd Derby, and this is StockCast, your pre-market show. Todd, how you doing this morning?
Doing good, thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing well. So pre-market, the Dow futures are currently down 37 points. S&P 500 down 13.25 point, and it's struggling to break above that positive line. But overall, I think it's going to do it. I think we're going to have a slightly bullish day, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So if we do, then I guess we do. It really don't matter because the pre-market sucks once again. Nothing new there. Todd, what is this, like week 2, 3 maybe?
Actually, like the whole month of March. I mean, so tomorrow's the last day of the month, so I'm glad maybe we're going to change the pace starting on Thursday.
It sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
What did you just throw down there?
Oh, it's like a little wrist protector, like you put in front of your keyboard.
Okay, all right, cool.
What did you think it was?
I had no idea.
Jeez, Todd, it's just this.
I don't know.
No, Todd.
I was waiting for Alana, like maybe you're gonna spank her or something. I don't know.
Nope. Okay. I mean, we are live right now. If you want to explain to everyone, you can.
Let's talk about a couple tickers.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about Cscw. So this is the stock that we were talking about. Man, we talked about this one twice already, Todd.
Yeah, so this came up a little over a week ago. Someone brought it to her. They asked a question when it was trading around 95 cents, and we reviewed it, and we liked the chart. And we actually, I think you even said, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna hop in and get into." And I know I didn't, and you said you didn't. The day got away, and I didn't get into it, and it moved from 95 to $1.15 pretty quick. And now news today, it's at 250.
Yeah, I said twice I was going to get into this thing, and I stinking forgot both times. And man, here we are. First time it hit these highs around 218, 220, and then like you just said, hit pre-market highs today over 250, and it is what it is. So it is still running off that NFT trend that's going on right now. That's kind of like the new hot sector. And man, if y'all jumped in this, y'all wrecked up. It just kind of sucks that I sat here and I looked at this, talked about it with y'all, and y'all threw it out to me, and I dropped the ball. Did not capitalize just because I forgot.
Yeah, that was like about a $40,000 mistake, because I think you were going to go in for like 40,000 shares, you said.
Oh, no. I was just going to go for 10. Yeah. Well, easy come, easy go.
Well, let's talk about one that we are in that we're excited about. GTT. GTT.
All right. So a lot of y'all saw our post yesterday, GTT. This company, they do have some fundamental issues that they need to take care of. They haven't done some of their last filings, but nonetheless, they're already a $1 billion company. Now they do have a lot of debt, but they're already a $1 billion company. They're headquartered in McLean, Virginia. And if y'all know anything about McLean, Virginia, the only other thing that's pretty much headquartered there is anything that's dealing with national security. That's the headquarters for the CIA. Well, not McLean, but the headquarters for the CIA is in McLean. So anything that is in that area, there's always going to be some sort of funding that they're getting. And it's just the way the government works. It's this weird little world right in that area. But anyways, this is basically it's a cloud service. And they released news back in October that they were going to sell off part of their company, division, and they're going to sell it for $2.15 billion, with $2 billion of it being cash up front the first half in 2021. That deal has not gone through yet. And that's what we're waiting on here. That's what is key. Now, my target price range, and again, this is overall, guys. This is everything falling in place in a perfect world. My overall target range is going to be between $21 and $33. And the reason why, and I'm just getting that math because if they would get that influx of $2 billion cash, I'm just rounding up for their outstanding shares to $60 million. So if you do the math, divide 60 into $2 billion, it actually averages out to $33 a share.
Wow.
And that's kind of just a rough way to come up with a PPS value. Again, for it to hit this target price range, everything needs to fall in line perfectly. And now that comes down to even when they release this news, if and when they do. That's the thing. So, there are some elements of risk here with, there are rumors that they were talking about bankruptcy. Now the company was approached and asked this, and they said that wasn't true. Now, one, if they outright knew that they were and they were saying that it wasn't true, that is illegal. But at the same time, if they do declare bankruptcy, what good does that do you? It doesn't do you no good at all. So if they were lying about that, then they're going to have a whole other lot of problems on their hands. Now we would be screwed as investors, but I mean they'll get theirs later in life. Now I'm not worried about it because again they are $1 billion company already, and their PPS value has just been beat down, and a lot of it does have to do with them, having some bad financials and also them not, reporting their last sets of them. But we can see this thing at one point was up here over $60, and I mean it got murdered. There's no other way to explain that. And we can see back here before it even took off running where it was at. We're now back to where it started, honestly. So if they actually get this $2 billion influx of cash, I mean, it doesn't matter what they really do with it, because whenever this thing pops and runs, if this deal does go through, it will pop and run. We'll have to trade this for what the market gives us. I mean, even if it goes to $5, I mean, we're still talking 150, 200% gain. I mean, you still can't even complain about that. But I want $21 at least. I'm not going to lie. With 40,000 shares heavy in this, whew, pay me, baby. That's all I got.
Yeah, this could be a big payout. But I know since we put this out, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter already about this because of the possible bankruptcy conversation and then the share structure. But I'll tell. I posted in our chat box this morning. You got to sell when it makes sense for you. And if you get in at $1.90, $1.95, and you want to sell at $2.50, sell it and don't look back. And if you want to hold out until $4 or $5, great. And if you got the risk tolerance to wait until $20, $21 and move your stop loss up along the way, do it. But you should be planning your trade that makes sense for you.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in the stock market. And a lot of us, we've been trading long enough to where if you think back, remember all these times you would hear perfect news in the company? I'm talking about you would see it fundamentally, perfect news. And the technical setup, when that news was released, perfect technical setup for a bullish play. And then it just gets crushed on good news. That's the market. Think about all these low floats that I call out. I know they're not long-term investments. That's why when they're running, I move my stop up over and over and over and over and over. That way, when it does pull back, I get stopped out in profits. Now, if I get stopped out too soon, it's really no big deal. I mean, if it runs, it runs. I don't chase it. But if I get stopped out too soon, it's cool. I mean, I done made my money. It's a winning trade. And I'll do the same thing for this. Like whatever this may do, as long as they don't release bad news, if they do release positive news, or if it just naturally starts pushing up, I'll move my stop loss up. And if for some reason I get stopped out before the news, it is what it is. As long as I'm, positive here. That's all I care about, making money. All right. So that is enough about GTT. Let's talk about
a ticker. Let's talk about ticker SEAC. Sam Echo Apple Charlie.
SEAC.
Yep. And this is a ticker yesterday I was watching, and then I wanted to catch it when it broke over $2 for a quick little scalp late in the day, and I missed it. I ended up doing a quick little short scalp only because short locates were available, and I just add a little bit to the bottom line. Literally, I mean, just enough to buy a nice dinner. But here's a company that they ran this up, and then in the after hours, they ran it up to 272, I think, in the after hours. And then it came down to 250-ish, and it went sideways for a little bit. But we talk about, James just mentioned that you have to trade what the market gives you, and you can't trust them. Last night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, this company did an offering. So all the holders that were going long with the after hours push got screwed because they can't get out of their ticker because the offering was put in a place where you couldn't sell. And then everyone who was trying to short that covered for a loss, they got screwed because it gapped down this morning. This is an ultimate FU job by a company and a market maker to us as traders. So here's a perfect example why you can't trust them. You can't trust them, the market, and what they're going to do. You have to do what's right for you.
And the same thing for the companies. These companies, these CEOs, the company in general, they're not your friend. Like, they don't care how much you love their stock or their company. It's a business, and they're treating it as a business. And you, as an investor, putting your money into their stock, their job is, and as much as they like to say, we like to create value for our investors, that's just something nice to say to make investors feel good, to like, oh man, they care about making me money, so I like to keep my money in here even though I'm losing right now. They just say that shit. It's a sales pitch. It's kind of like your boss at work telling you that you're their best employee. We all know you ain't their best employee. I'm just kidding. Anyways, now they're going to tell you what you want to hear, so you keep your money in their stock so it doesn't tank on them. And this right here, man, like, that is literally just like Todd said, it's a big FU. The market makers knew it. That company knew it. They released that information so those traders could not get out. This setup right here, had I saw this, and if I was wanting to jump the gun, I would have went long in it. I know I would have went long in it, and I would get crushed.
It was a long setup.
Yeah, that is just a perfect, that's a perfect signal to, take it long. If you jumped in after hours in the later part, man, it's just unfortunate, really, for the Bulls here. I think the Bulls got the worst end of this deal because they literally got trapped, and it wasn't like they got trapped on a bad technical setup. The company just screwed them over.
And if you'd gone short and held overnight, you would have benefited tremendously from this. But the reality is that it's such a poor decision to hold overnight on a short on that setup that this could have easily gapped up to $3, $3.25, and you would have been really hurting. So it's just, I only brought this up to share as an example of how they're not our friends, and you have to protect your investment and your trade that makes sense for you.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Got a request here from Rebecca. Ticker TBK. Thomas Bravo Kangaroo.
All right, last update. Short interest. 960,000 shares shorted. 1.8% of the float. 2 days to cover. Shares outstanding. 57.9 million. The float, 52.3. So I do like this share structure pretty well. Looking at the news. So see a couple of Form 4s going through here, back through February. I don't really see any news on the top. And let's take a look at the daily chart here. All right. So looking at these daily candles, when we are this far up from the 200 EMA line, once it starts getting to the point where the daily candlesticks are now opening and closing below that 9 EMA, that is not good. Not good at all. But let me see something real quick. Just going to draw a trend line.
The MACD's turned over heavy red too.
Yeah. MACD is very heavy right there. So this thing is, it's selling off. It's going to come down here. There's a support right in here around 1950, and what to see what it does. If the non-EMA physically crosses below 1950, it's not looking well, because it has a range down right here to another support at around the low $16 range. So there's a good chance that this thing will break down below 1950, come down here, probably test this $16 range, and then after that, and this is just me, hypothetically speaking now, being, I'm speculating here, just based off how like the flows of the market work. Probably see this dip, come down, consolidate, bounce, come up for a semi-run, and then a sell-off afterwards. That tends to happen.
A short candidate.
Yeah, if I was looking at this to actually trade, I would be looking at it to short, to be honest with y'all.
Problem is, it looks like it's not going to be a day trade. It'd probably be a long-term short trade, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah. So looking at the 5-minute chart, we can see, how our trend lines are. I mean, the green line, 200 EMA, white line, the 9 EMA, and then the orange line, that VWAP. Now, that 9 EMA, we're still below that 200 EMA line. So that's a bearish signal right there. We'll need to see that 9 EMA on the shorter time frame cross above that 200 EMA line. And if you're in this, that may be a ticket to get out of this trade once you start seeing that. So that is TBBK.
All right, let's take a look at a couple more here before we get out of here. FRSX. Frank Romeo, Sam X-Ray.
All right. Last update to short interest. I'll just round it up. 2.5 million shares being shorted. 3.8% of the float. Shares outstanding. It's going to be the same as the float. Almost 64.5 million shares. So I'm not a big fan of this share structure, because the outstanding shares and the float are registering as the same. And what that means usually is this data is not up to date. So the company hasn't reported recently, and they've probably been selling shares. So looking at the news, let's see. So it does look like they do have a catalyst on the horizon here, or maybe one just happened. I'm not really familiar with this ticker, but there is a catalyst in play, and it might be worth looking into. I'm not sure yet. So looking at the 1 year, 1 day chart. Good Lord, this is ugly. And who brought this thing up? I'm just kidding.
I think Jordan did.
Oh. Just going to draw out some trend lines, support and resistance. All right. So you can see my trend lines I just drew, and this thing is this 9 EMA, it's looking like it's gonna cross over that $6.30 little support resistance line. Now, once it does that, it's probably gonna push a lot lower. It's currently going for 565 right now in pre-market. But once it does that, I mean, this thing has been selling off overall, but it probably will push a little bit lower and consolidate in this range between this 550 range up to 630 range. Probably break out of here, bounce, and come back up and test this $7.50, $8 range until that catalyst actually plays out. So that's what we'll have to look for here. But in the event that this 200 EMA line makes its way up here, if that non-EMA crosses over that 200, that is a sign of death. And that is not what you want to be in. So me personally, if I was looking at this and I was not in this yet, what I would wait for a cleaner setup is that physical non-EMA line to cross back above 750. I'd have to see the actual non-EMA line on the daily chart cross back above 750 before making the entry. And I'll just put my stop loss in right around 720 and let it ride up. Maybe you could test these highs around $11.50, $12 again, but that's what I would wait for if I was not in this. So that is what I see for FRSX.
All right, last one. This one could be an exciting one today. There's a press conference at 8 or news release. HOFV.
Hall of Fame. So this thing, I don't even have to talk about the catalysts, honestly, because the catalysts are already in play. I mean, it's just been pushing out news left and right. So short interest, last update, 4.5 million shares being shorted, 7 3/4 shares of the float is shorted. Outstanding shares, 83.3 million shares. The float, 58.1 million. The share structure is all right, but what kind of compensates for that share structure is all the catalysts. There's so much FOMO behind this freaking stock. It's unreal. Now, I played this one a long time ago, but I actually didn't play it during the important part with all the catalysts as it ran up. But yeah, Todd, what time did you say that conference was?
8 o'clock, 15, 20 minutes.
Interesting. Did that news speak about what it was for?
I think no, but I saw another forum I was reading that they said that they're supposed to be announcing some deal with Disney, maybe. And this, again, I'm just speculating on that, but they're calling this Hall of Fame resort like the adult Disneyland. So I don't know enough about it. I just know that it's been talked about a lot. It's got some pretty good price activity. That's what's going on.
Okay.
It's probably not what I'm going to be trading unless I'm going to scalp it for pennies.
Honestly, like me at this point, I don't see a solid setup in either direction for me to even enter this trade, long or short. I mean, that conference is going to have a lot to do with it, but even then, I would have a hard time even going long in it because of how hard it's already pushed up. I would need to see this thing pull back, kind of cool off some, maybe come down here to around this $4 range, consolidate, and then catch it on the next run. But yeah, right now, I personally don't see a setup that I would take in either direction.
All right.
That's just me.
So with that, be safe today. Be careful. There's a lot of swing plays in play, and we're getting near the end of the month, which sometimes affects the way the market trades a little bit.
Oh, Todd, you cut out. No one could hear anything you just said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just was wishing them a happy day of trading, and be careful. Today's the second to last day of the month.
Oh, you saw me. Yeah, they can hear you.
Nice try. Well, you cut out again, Todd. Will you repeat that?
I was actually going to say that again. Have you repeated?
I know you were. Yeah.
Oh man, I think it's funny. One of our members said yesterday in the comments that they enjoy the whole Todd abuse.
The Todd abuse, yes.
Oh,
Well, I know that you're afraid of spiders, so be careful when you go to bed tonight.
Yeah. So we do. We just talk. We talk crap to each other. You see the crap we talk to each other when we're not live streaming.
Actually, there's a couple times we're like, "Are we live?"
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah. Trade safe, and if you guys haven't yet, please follow us and tell someone about us. Go tell your mom right now. Go tell your sister right now, and you tell them to tell their friends if they have friends. And yeah, as long as they're traders, because we don't benefit if they're not traders. Yeah. So, Todd, do you have anything to say?
Just a reminder: the market's closed on Friday.
Okay.
All
right, guys. Everybody, y'all have a good day, and let's try to make some money.
See ya.